I've got an itchy nutsack. Anyway, welcome back to my movie review of fucking Misery. So, another scene I love are the scenes with the sheriff. The sheriff is a very likable character in the film. I like the chemistry he has with his wife. His wife! So there's a lot of great scenes with the sheriff. So I'm going to talk about them next. So the sheriff, I love the part where he's with his wife or whatever in the car and they're driving. He's like, we gotta find Paul Sheldon. He goes missing all the time. Damn, that's a good impression. Anyway, and then his wife's there, like, was like, oh yeah, he could just be gone somewhere, and then puts her hand on his leg and goes, Virginia, when you're in this car, you're not my wife, you're my deputy. Yeah, well, this deputy would rather be under the covers with the sheriff. Ah, fucking mother. Oh, you alright, baby? You murdered her! Sorry. You murdered my misery. I'm gonna fuck. Anyway, so she's like, I like that little bit of thing. He's like, stop, pull up here. He's like, what? Goes down. He's like, look down here. Walks down the hill. He's like, I feel like something's here. They look like footprints, don't they? It's like, yeah, did you find anything? No. And then I love the shot of the car as they walk back up. I love the parts in the sheriff's station, like, yeah, we gotta go, and then the publicist or whatever calls up and says hi and all that. It's like, I'm calling about, is this sheriff's office? Like, hi, I'm calling about a client named Paul Sheldon. Paul Sheldon? Yeah, he stayed at this hotel and oh, he hasn't checked out. Oh, do you call him all the time when he doesn't check out? It's like, no, but he's been missing for like 2 weeks or whatever. It's like, okay, I'll look into it. And then he goes to the hotel and great atmosphere. He's like, does he stay here much? He's like, oh yeah. He checks in and out. It's like, it's great, yeah. And then I love when he comes into the shop and he's like, hey man, and gets the Coke bottle, sees the thing, sees Annie go, yo, caca-doodie, drives past them. And I love the part where he's like, did that Annie Wilkes girl come in a lot, buy the Misery books? Like, yeah, she's always buying the Misery books. She's the first one in line. It's like, okay, just wondering. I just gotta check it out. And I love the part where during the montage you see him reading the Misery book. He buys it. I'm going to get this. And he's like, I bought this. He's like, why? Just see. We need to do research or whatever. He's like, okay, yeah, we do that. Yeah, this is sheriff's office. Yeah. And then I love when he's reading the book. He's like, oh, the Misery found a thing. It's like, that's great, honey. And then another part where she's like saying a quote himself. He's like, what? Oh, nothing. Then he writes on it while reading the book. I love that, and then I love, as I said, him and the wife have great chemistry. They add a little bit of humour to the film, like when he's sitting there, and then walks in, and Virginia's there, like, yeah, oh, he's always out. He's never here. He's probably having an affair. Here he comes now. He wants to know. It's him. He wants to know who you're having an affair with. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah. How many times I tell you, if you have a bench there, they're allowed sitting it. Yeah. It's like, who's the lucky woman this time? He's like, Virginia, I'm not out. It's like, a boss. I was like, what are you doing? I got that Misery book. I need to look into the writer part of Paul Sheldon. It's like, oh great. And then I love the part where you see they fish out the car. It's like, we found something. They fish out the car. You have the news report. It's like, Paul Sheldon missing, and then it pops up missing and on the news, and he's like, oh, he's not dead. He definitely climbed out of this car. And then of course, one of the best scenes in the fucking film we get, and it's kind of a sad scene because he's such a likable character, and he fucking kills him. I love the scene. He knocks the door. It's like, police is driving, and then James Caan is there, and you have the dun dun dun. Annie hears him dun dun dun, and then she sees it, gets the drug thing, goes no, and he's like stabs him with it or whatever, gets ready, and then walks up, knocks on the door, he's like, oh hi. He's like, oh hi, good evening. He's like, I didn't give a chance to knock. He's like, oh, not used to visitors. Startle me and all that. It's like, do you want, oh, where am I, man? You just want to come in and all that. He's like, oh, yeah. It's like, and then he's just walking around like, just before that, he's like, I'm looking for a missing person. Paul Sheldon, novelist Paul Sheldon. Like, do you know anything about him? What do you want to know? Anything. He's like, oh, well, he was born in such and such. He was married. He was blah, blah, blah. He's divorced, blah, blah, blah. These are his parents, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, She's like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. I mean, do you know where he is? He's been missing for quite a while. I was like, oh, I don't know. I think it's horrible. Breaks my heart and all that. You know what? I think the Lord will find him. That sound like fucking that thing. I think the Lord will find him. But anyways, like, I think the Lord will find him. Lord will find him. Jesus says you're gonna laugh. It's like, yeah, man, if I look around, not at all. Do you want a hot cup of cocoa? Walks around. It's like, yeah, so looks in the rooms, looks in the bedroom. Probably gets lonely out here, does it? It's like, oh yeah, it does. I always say if you can enjoy your own company, you know, there's no point in having company at all or something like that. And then walks upstairs, looks in the rooms, about to find something. He's like, here's your cocoa. I was like, oh, thank you. Drinks. All right, Miss Wilkes, I won't take much up any of your time. It's like, oh, but you haven't even had your cocoa. Oh, it's fine. It's like, okay. You just taste it. It's like, okay, thank you. I gotta go. I was like, okay, see ya. Good luck. Bye. Walks out. But just before that, she like when she drugs Paul, she drags him down into the basement, opens its door, which is like very like blends into it. It's like a camouflage almost. It throws him down. He falls down like, you stay there, shut up, and all that. And then you kind of cuts back to Paul's like all that, and he's trying to do something, and then he pushes down the barbecue and hits him, and then he hears it, and Annie hears it, and he's like, hey, he's like, help me. Help me! It's like, Miss Wilkes, are you alright? I'm down here. Help me, help me. Opens it. It's like, Mr. Sheldon? And then he gets fucking shot, falls down, and Annie's there with a shotgun. But holy shit, the effect is unbelievable. The practicality, and it's a fucking heartbreaking scene. It's like, hi, Paul. You shouldn't have done that. It's like, you see, Paul. He's like, I prepared it. I prepared a bullet. One for me, one for you. We need to be together. We'll be together. I love you, Paul. And she's like, I love you too. And he's like, you don't mean that? I was like, yeah, I do. But we must finish the book. And he's like, but the time is not. No. Misery wanted to be finished. Like, okay, fine. We'll do it later. Goes, there's another scene later on where he's there and she goes, and I believe jabs him in the neck again or whatever with the needle. But then this is the scene that I absolutely love. He finally writes the book. He's like, hey, would you like to have a toast with me? A drink with me tonight? It's like, oh, Paul, I'd be honoured to celebrate the book being done. It's done and all that. It's like, yes, and all that. I was like, oh, okay, Paul, I'll go get it and all that. And then this next scene is so satisfying, so goosebumpy, that I'm like, holy fucking shit. This is perfect. He gets it, gets the little thing, the gasoline, lights a match, and it's like, and then he's like, oh, what? He's like, you remember how Misery found it, and it's a shot. You never found out how Misery done this, that, and the other, or whatever, and how this happened. He's like, what? All in these pages, right here. And then she's like, no, Paul, you can't do it. No, throws it. No, goes on fire. No, 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 no. I'm gonna kill you. And then ends up picking up the typewriter and goes, knocks her over the fucking head. And you're like, fuck you, Annie Wilkes. And then like she's there like, grabs him. I'm gonna kill you. And goes, I'm gonna kill you, you lying cocksucker. Shoots the fucking bit of the window, smashes it, tries to stab him again, like, or whatever, falls over off the wheelchair. He grabs it and goes, here, you like it? Eat it. Eat it till you choke. He grabs the fucking burnt up ash and goes, eat it. Eat it till you choke, yes, you sick, sadistic fuck. Fuck yeah, Paul, and all this. And she tries to shoot again, falls over, tries to grab him, picks up the fucking pig statue, fucking hits her with it, pushes her, hits her with the typewriter, falls, and then she smacks her head, I think, on the typewriter or the thing. And the dummy that they use is realistic looking. You can kind of tell if you watch it a couple of times, but sometimes you can't. So then he's getting up, he's crawling away, then she jumps like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna kill you. She doesn't say fuck you. He grabs the thing, doesn't say fuck, and then just goes, come. and then beats her to death, and she just falls, and the gore and the blood there is great, and pushes her off, and you're like, yes. And never have I seen a villain death more satisfying. She is one of the greatest villains of all time, either top 10 ever movie villains. Then we cut to like 1 year later, he's walking down with like a cane, he's talking to Annie Wilkes, not to Annie Wilkes, fucking, she's dead. Talking to his publicist, like, this is great, get it, write a book. It's like, oh yeah, people love those misery books. And I love that part where, whatchamacallit, where the sheriff goes, people love them misery books. But she's like, oh yeah, he's like, do you want to, maybe you should write a true story novel. Why would I want to write a novel of the worst horror of my life and all that? And he's like, yeah, even though she's dead, it still haunts me. Have you not gotten over it? How could you get over something like that? And then I still see her everywhere. Then he sees her just like as a waitress, kind of pushing things down, getting a knife. Turns to him, goes, and the girl goes, "Excuse me, are you Paul Sheldon?" And he's like, "Yes, I am. I hope I'm not bothering you, but I'm your number one fan." It's like, great, and you're like, oh fuck. But I love that. I love the opening of the film when he's typing on the typewriter, and I love the way the camera's positioned with the shot of the champagne. He lights up a cigarette. It's like, oh yeah, gets his thing ready. The music playing. Oh yeah. Then it comes up Misery and driving, and then ends up fucking steering, and then crashing. And the red text, the Misery, based on Stephen King novel. Then he gets flashbacks of him like talking to his publicist in New York or something. Like, what's that? And the city. He's like, it's a book. So I just think I want to write different books. I'm tired of writing these misery books. You sure? Sure about that, Paul? They make a lot of money. Yeah, it's fine. I want to do what I want to do and all that. And it cuts to that, and then we get the scene where Annie opens the thing with the thing and the door with the thing, and pulls him out and starts kissing him, giving him mouth to mouth, not kissing him, and he's covered in blood. I love this film. I just said it. The wintry atmosphere, the way the movie is shot, the darkness, the creepiness, the psychological horror thriller, the performances, the acting, the editing, the writing, visuals, the way visuals and visually stunning to look at. Everything about it is brilliant, and it's a perfect fucking movie. And this quality of this Blu-ray and this print is unbelievable. Stop falling on me! I do everything for you, Mr. Man. That was not intentional, neither was the other thing. So, yeah. I also love this tag here. Paul Sheldon used to write for a living. Now he's writing to stay alive. It's a great poster. But yeah. Here's the front. The spine. Back. Rest in peace, James Caan. It's so fucking unfortunate that we lost him this year. Brilliant actor. Love him in The Godfather, Elf. He's actually in the Cloudy with Handsome Meatballs movies. He does the voice of Flint Lockwood's dad, and he was in Eraser and The Good Neighbor. It's kind of funny because The Good Neighbor, he kind of plays a bit of a creepy character, although if you see that movie, you find out that he actually wasn't such a bad guy after all. He was a troubled guy, but not a bad one. So, yeah, that's a movie I gotta rewatch actually. What else? Right. So guys, that was my movie review of Misery. Hope you guys enjoyed. I do know there is a mini series or a TV series, a Stephen King TV series that's actually come out in recent years, and there's one storyline. I think it's an anthology series that's a prequel to Misery. About a young Annie Wilkes. I might check that out, see if that's good, and then. There's also another thing, I think, in that same series where something takes place in the Shawshank prison. So I might check that out. But yeah, guys, I will be reviewing some other Stephen King movies. Plan to review 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, I believe. Yeah, 5 more horror films. Or no, 6. Sorry, 6. So yeah. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.